My dad, Michael Carter, accidentally added me to a group chat called Happy Family. There were only 3 people in it. Dad, Mom, and a strange girl saved as baby. They were buzzing with excitement, planning her birthday party for tomorrow, even though tomorrow was also my birthday, the one they had forgotten 10 years in a row. My mom, Laura Carter, said, "The venue has to feel magical. I want her to be a real little princess." Dad sent a large cash transfer and added, "Money isn't a problem. Just don't let your sister find out and get upset." I quietly took screenshots, already planning for the day I would tear everything apart. Just then, my well-behaved, straight-A younger brother, Ethan Carter, messaged me privately with a screenshot. It was a chat between him and Dad. "Dad, have you finished arranging Emily's surprise birthday party? You promised me this would be the last time you lied to her." I stared at the screenshot Ethan sent me, and my heart went completely cold. A surprise? The last time lying to me? Of course. Every year on my birthday, they always had excuses ready. "Emily, I have an emergency at the company." "Emily, I have a spa appointment. Order yourself some takeout." This year, they didn't even bother making excuses and simply replaced me with another daughter. I tossed my phone aside. My chest felt like it was being crushed by something heavy. Another message from Ethan popped up. "Emily, don't overthink it. Mom and Dad just..." I replied with 2 words. "I know." Overthink it? What was there left to overthink? The truth was right there. That birthday party for baby was the so-called surprise they had been lying to me about. Their biological daughter, was nothing more than a backdrop to make another girl's happiness shine brighter. From the living room, I heard Mom on the phone, her voice deliberately lowered. "Yes, pink balloons. The biggest and brightest ones. Stella loves pink. She has to be satisfied." Stella. So that girl's name was Stella Monroe. I picked up my phone and searched her name on social media. Almost instantly, a profile popped up. A carefully curated girl with a flawless avatar, her feed filled with glamorous travel photos from all over the world. The latest post stopped me cold. It was a photo of her standing between 2 middle-aged people taken in our living room. Those 2 people were my parents. In the photo, they were smiling with unmistakable warmth. Mom held Stella's arm affectionately, while Dad stood beside her, his eyes full of indulgence. Expressions I had never once seen on their faces. The caption read, "Thank you, Uncle and Auntie. Can't wait for tomorrow's party." Below it, Mom commented, "Silly child, why be so polite with us?" Dad liked the post. What a perfect family. I saved the photo, along with the group chat screenshots, and locked them away in my encrypted album. These were the surprises I had prepared for them tomorrow. At dinner, Mom made soup and enthusiastically poured me a bowl. "Emily, try it. I made it especially for you." I stared at the greasy chicken soup. My throat tightened as nausea surged upward. "To warm things up for Stella Monroe's birthday party?" I asked lightly. The smile on Mom's face froze. She glanced at Dad, and his expression immediately darkened. "What nonsense are you talking about? Who's Stella Monroe?" "Oh." I raised my brows. Looks like Dad has too many important people to remember. I took out my phone and opened the group photo. "This girl," I said calmly. "Isn't she your precious baby?" My dad's face hardened instantly. Mom hurried to smooth things over. "Emily, you misunderstood. She's the daughter of one of your father's important clients. We're just helping organize her birthday." "A client's daughter?" I let out a cold laugh. "Important enough to have a private group chat labeled baby? Important enough for that much money? Important enough that you can completely forget your own daughter's birthday?" The living room fell silent. Only the sound of breathing remained. Ethan rushed out of his room and grabbed my arm. "Emily, stop talking." I shook his hand off. "What? Are you going to help Mom and Dad lie to me too?" Ethan's face went pale. His lips moved slightly, but not a single word came out. The next day, on my birthday, the house was empty. $100 lay on the table, along with a note in my mother's handwriting. "Emily, the money's on the table. Buy yourself something nice to eat." The same half-hearted gesture. year after year. Even the amount had never changed. I crumpled the bill into a ball and tossed it into the trash. After last night's fallout, they did not bother pretending anymore. I heard Mom talking on the phone in her room, her voice brimming with excitement. The venue is all set. It looks just like a fairy tale. Dad was on the balcony, giving instructions. Bring the 82 Lafite. Today has to be perfect for Stella. And I drifted through my own home like a ghost no one could see. Ethan had gone out early. Before leaving, he glanced at me, his expression complicated. Emily, no matter what you see today, trust me. Trust him? Trust someone who is also part of this lie? I sneered inwardly and did not respond. Around noon, a delivery truck stopped downstairs. 2 workers unloaded an enormous gift box tied with an exaggerated pink bow. I stood by the window and watched. So this was where I ranked in their hearts. I was not even worth a gift. Mom hurried downstairs, smiling so hard her cheeks looked sore as she signed for it. She kept instructing the workers to be careful, as if afraid even the slightest bump might ruin it. I recognized the logo at once. It was a limited edition piano released just last month, priced well into 6 figures. Meanwhile, the old piano I had been using for 10 years sat at home with yellowed keys and a sound that was already out of tune. I had hinted about replacing it more than once. Mom always said the same thing. As long as it still works, just keep using it. Expenses are tight. So it was not that money was tight. It was that I did not deserve it. The last trace of expectation in my heart went completely dark. That afternoon, I put on a black dress. I did my makeup carefully, covering the exhaustion beneath my eyes. I refused to let them see me looking miserable. I would draw a clean line between us, standing tall and proud. I had overheard the party's address during Mom's phone call the night before. The most prestigious banquet hall in the city had been booked out entirely. I took a taxi there. Along the way, the driver kept marveling aloud. Big day today, huh? The road ahead is blocked off. Heard some rich folks are throwing a huge birthday party for their daughter. The scale is unreal. I tugged at the corner of my mouth and said nothing. Yes. The scale was massive. Massive enough to be built on 10 years of my quiet suffering. A long red carpet stretched across the entrance of the banquet hall, lined on both sides with pink rose arrangements. On the welcome sign at the door, written in flowing cursive, were the words, "Happy birthday to our baby." Signed below, "With love, Mom and Dad." The words stabbed straight into my eyes. I took out my phone and sent Ethan a message. "Your surprise. I'm here to see it." Then I took a deep breath, stepped forward in my heels, and walked inside. The hall buzzed with laughter and clinking glasses. My parents stood at the center of the crowd, beaming as they greeted guests. Beside them stood a girl in a pink princess gown, Stella. She looked like a proud peacock, basking in everyone's attention and blessings. Mom personally placed a delicate diamond crown on her head, her voice soft and loving. "Our Stella is the most beautiful little princess today." Dad handed her a velvet box. Inside lay a dazzling diamond necklace. "Do you like it? I had it custom made just for you." Stella smiled sweetly. "Thank you, Uncle and Auntie. You're too good to me." Gasps of admiration rippled through the crowd. "Michael, this isn't a goddaughter. You treat her better than a real daughter. Seriously, this kind of spending puts the rest of us to shame. Michael, if you treat your goddaughter this well, what do you do for your real daughter's birthday? Hand her the moon?" My parents laughed heartily, waving their hands. "It's nothing. It's what we should do." No one noticed me standing in the corner. I raised my phone and recorded the scene in perfect clarity. Then I smoothed my dress, picked up a glass of champagne, and slowly walked toward them. The noise around me seemed to fade into the distance. All I could see was that picture-perfect family of 3. Dad raised his glass and addressed the guests in a loud, confident voice. "Thank you all for coming today to celebrate our baby's birthday." I repeated coldly. The smiles on my parents' faces froze instantly. Mom reacted faster. She stepped forward, reaching out to grab my hand, but I sidestepped her. "Emily, why are you here?" Her voice trembled. Come here, let me introduce you. This is Ms. Stella Monroe. I cut her off, my eyes fixed on the girl in the princess dress. Your baby, right? The smile vanished from Stella's face. She looked flustered, a trace of unease flashing through her eyes before she turned to my parents for help. And who might this be? A guest asked in confusion. Dad's face had darkened to its ugliest shade. He lowered his voice and snapped at me. Emily, stop making a scene. Go home. Now. Making a scene? I let out a bitter laugh. Dad, have you forgotten what day it is today? Today is also your biological daughter's birthday. My birthday. I enunciated every word clearly. The room erupted. All eyes darted between my parents and me, curiosity and gossip written plainly across every face. So she's the real daughter. Then what is all this supposed to be? This is unbelievable. Ignoring your own daughter's birthday to throw something like this for an outsider? Michael, what kind of move is this? I really don't get it. The murmurs reached my parents' ears. Their expressions grew increasingly strained. Mom's lips trembled. Dad's eyes shifted from panic to rage. Enough. He slammed his hand on the table. Did you come here today just to ruin everything? Ruin everything? I raised my phone and played the video. Dad, who's ruining what here? Who is telling me about a surprise while putting a crown on someone else's head and gifting her diamonds? On the screen, my mother's gentle smile appeared as she placed the crown on Stella's head. Our Stella is the most beautiful little princess today. The words echoed through the silent banquet hall via the phone speaker. All the color drained from Mom's face. And this, I said, switching to the group photo. This is the daughter of an important client you keep talking about? Since when did she become your baby? I turned the screen toward the crowd, making sure everyone could clearly see the photo and the comments beneath it. The guests' expressions became a spectacle of their own. Dad trembled with fury, pointing at me, unable to form a complete sentence. Emily, you? What about me? I met his gaze. My eyes burned, but my voice remained icy. I just want to ask you face to face. Does raising a new daughter feel better than raising the old one? I just want to know what I did wrong to deserve being treated like this, to be discarded so easily. My voice rose, carrying 10 years of resentment and injustice, reverberating through the hall. Stella's face had turned ghostly pale. She tugged lightly at Mom's sleeve and whispered, Annie, this. Mom flung her hand away. She looked at me, regret flooding her eyes. Emily, it's not what you think. It's really not what you think. Then what is it? I pressed her. Say it. Explain it. Just then, the doors of the banquet hall burst open. Ethan rushed in. The moment he took in the scene, his face went stark white. He ran straight to me, gripping my arm tightly, his voice shaking. Emily, listen to me. Let me explain. That's enough. I don't want to hear any more explanations from any of you. I struggled to pull free. I had already achieved my goal today. I wanted everyone to see the true faces of my so-called model parents. I wanted the flawless illusion they had so carefully built to shatter completely, right here and now. I raised my phone high, ready to project the group chat screenshots onto the big screen. Mom, Dad, this show is over. Just as my finger was about to tap the projection button, Ethan suddenly snatched my phone away and clutched it to his chest. Emily, please, just give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes. His eyes were red, his voice filled with desperation. I froze. Ethan, who is usually so calm and composed, was trembling from head to toe. Something tugged sharply at my heart, for reasons I could not explain. On stage, Dad finally came back to his senses. He did not look at me again. Instead, he picked up the microphone, his expression so heavy it was almost frightening. I apologized for letting everyone witness this spectacle. The guests exchanged uneasy glances and slowly fell silent. I thought he was about to announce the end of the party and have me, the troublemaker, escorted out. But what he said next stunned everyone. Today is indeed my daughter's birthday, but not Ms. Stella Monroe's. He paused, his gaze cutting through the crowd until it landed on me. Today is the birthday of my biological daughter, Emily Carter. Stella stood off to the side, her mouth opening slightly, but one look from my mother stopped her cold. Dad took a deep breath and continued. I know all of you must be wondering why we would throw such a grand party for an outsider while completely ignoring our own daughter. Because we owe her far too much. His voice wavered, the emotion he had been suppressing finally breaking through. Since she was 10 years old, because her mother and I were busy with work, we forgot her birthday 10 years in a row. Every single time, we brushed her off with excuses. And every single time, we watched the light in her eyes dim a little more. She went from a lively, smiling little girl to someone increasingly quiet and distant. She stopped expecting anything from us. She even stopped believing a single word we said. We wanted to make it up to her. We wanted to give her a real surprise, a birthday she would never forget. But we knew that if we told her directly, she would only think we were brushing her off again. She would not believe us. Dad's eyes never left mine. I stood there, my mind completely blank. What was he talking about? This was nothing like the outcome I had imagined. So we came up with this foolish plan. A bitter smile crossed his face. We hired a professional planning team and worked with the planner's daughter, Miss Stella Monroe, to put on this act. We deliberately let Emily see the group chat. We deliberately let her misunderstand. We deliberately pushed her anger and hurt to the breaking point. Because we believed that only this way, when the truth was finally revealed, the surprise would be powerful enough. Powerful enough for her to believe that we love her and that we never truly forgot her. The moment he finished speaking, every light in the banquet hall went out. The room plunged into darkness. Instinctively, I grabbed Ethan's arm. The next second, the massive screen behind the stage lit up. What appeared on it was not Stella's glamorous photos. It was a picture of me as a child. I was wearing pigtails, missing a front tooth, smiling so brightly it filled the entire frame. The photos changed one by one. At 5, I was flying a kite in the park, fell hard on my backside, and cried loud enough to bring the whole place to a stop. At 7, I stood on stage for the first time to play the piano. My palms were slick with sweat from nerves, but I still made it through the entire piece. On my 10th birthday, I hugged a giant teddy bear, closed my eyes to make a wish, and smiled so brightly it looked like stars were shining in them. After that, the tone of the photos seemed to change. At 12, I sat alone with a cake in my hands, a single candle stuck in the center. At 15, I wore my school uniform, slumped over my desk asleep, a faint trace of tears still visible at the corner of my eye. At 18, I stood alone at the gates of my university. Behind me were parents and families coming and going, seeing their children off. My back looked painfully lonely in comparison. Many of these photos were ones I had never seen before. They looked as if they had been taken quietly, without my noticing. Every single one captured, with brutal precision, how I had grown up alone during the years I was overlooked. As the images played, my father's low voice came through. Emily, my precious daughter, I'm sorry. I always said I was busy. Busy with meetings. Busy with social obligations. Busy making money. But I forgot that my most important responsibility was growing up with you. I thought providing you with material comfort meant I had fulfilled my duty as a father. It wasn't until one day, when I saw the list of gifts in your room, the ones we promised you but never delivered, that I realized just how wrong I was. What you wanted was never any of that. The screen shifted to a close-up of my desk. It was a notebook covered in my careless doodles. A crooked Ferris wheel, with the words beside it. 10th birthday, I want to go to the amusement park with Mom and Dad. A beautiful princess dress with a note. 12th birthday, I want a real princess dress. A simple stick figure drawing of 3 people holding hands with the words, 15th birthday, I hope we can take a family photo together. These were wishes I had long forgotten, buried deep in my heart. Now they were laid bare, in front of everyone. It hurt, and yet a strange ache welled up in my chest, stinging the bridge of my nose. We tried countless times, my father's voice continued. But your heart was tightly shut, and we didn't know how to reach you. So this year, we wanted to give you everything we owed you, all at once. We're sorry, Emily, for hurting you in this way. Your mother and I were just too foolish. We know this method was cruel, but we believed that only such a violent shock would make you see how sincere we truly were. That final sentence overlapped perfectly with the screenshot Ethan had sent me. The video ended on a single frozen image. It was me, walking into the banquet hall earlier, dressed in black, my eyes stubborn yet fragile. Beside it appeared a line of text, "My princess, welcome home. Happy birthday." The lights came back on. The stage was empty. At some point, my parents and Ethan had already walked over to stand in front of me. Tears streamed down my mother's face. She reached out, wanting to hug Renee, but stopped halfway, her hands trembling in midair. Emily. I looked at her, then at my father beside her, his eyes red as well, and at Ethan, his face full of guilt. My mind was still a complete mess. Just then, Stella walked over. She had taken off the crown and changed into ordinary clothes. Her face was filled with apology. Emily, I'm really sorry. My name is Stella Monroe. My mom is the planner for this party. Your parents came to us and said they wanted to give you a special birthday surprise, so I agreed to help. The group chat, the necklace, the piano, it was all part of the act. She pointed toward the other side of the stage. The curtain lifted. A brand new white grand piano stood quietly there. Engraved on the body were my initials, EC. I was completely speechless. So, the Happy Family group chat had been a planning group all along. So the contract labeled baby had always been me. So those words that pierced straight through my heart had all been lines written in advance, meant for today. So Stella had only been kept completely in the dark. Ethan handed my phone back to me and said quietly, Emily, I'm sorry. I knew from the beginning, but Mom and Dad wouldn't let me tell you. I could only try to warn you in my own way. I thought of the screenshot he had sent me. Dad, have you finished arranging Emily's surprise birthday party? You promised me this would be the last time you lied to her. Back then all I saw was the word lied. I had automatically ignored surprise and last time. So he had been an accomplished after all. He had trying, clumsily, to send me a signal. He was afraid I would truly break, yet he could not break his promise to our parents. I looked at his bloodshot eyes, my emotions are a tangled mess. So, you were an actor too? I asked. Ethan lowered his head even further. I am sorry, Emily. Every time I saw you hurting, I wanted to tell you the truth, but that said, this was the only chance to make you open your heart. I repeated the words, finding them absurd. By deceiving me and hurting me, you wanted me to open my heart? My words drained the color from all three faces at once. Dad stepped forward. Emily, this is my fault. I thought about everything too simply, too arrogantly. I believe that as long as the final outcome was good, the process didn't matter. I never imagined that the process itself would hurt you this badly. I just wanted to make it up to you. Mom was crying too. Emily, those 10 years weren't intentional. Your father and I always told ourselves, once this project is over, once the company stabilizes, we'll spend time with you properly. But year after year, there was always something else to do. Until you went to college and didn't call us even once for an entire month. That's when we panicked. That's when we realized our daughter was drifting farther and farther away. Her voice broke. She could barely continue. The gifts we bought for you, you always said you didn't want them. When we asked you out to dinner, you always refused. We didn't know what to do anymore, Emily. We truly didn't know how to make you even a little happy. Was that so? Was that really how it had been? I thought back over the past few years. They had, in fact, made some attempts to reach out. Every single one had been shut down by my cold indifference. I don't need it. I don't have time. Don't waste your effort. 10 years of disappointment had built a thick wall around my heart. It shut them out and trapped me inside as well. I stopped believing in promises, and I stopped holding on to any expectations. Because without expectations, there could be no disappointment. But today, they had smashed into that wall in the most brutal way possible. The wall collapsed. and inside stood a version of me already covered in scars, yet still aching to be loved. Emily, those 10 years weren't intentional. Your father and I always told ourselves, once this project is over, once the company stabilizes, we'll spend time with you properly. But year after year, there was always something else to do. Until you went to college and didn't call us even once for an entire month. That's when we panicked. That's when we realized our daughter was drifting farther and farther away. Her voice broke. She could barely continue. The gifts we bought for you, you always said you didn't want them. When we asked you out to dinner, you always refused. We didn't know what to do anymore, Emily. We truly didn't know how to make you even a little happy.
Was that so?
Was that really how it had been? I thought back over the past few years. They had, in fact, made some attempts to reach out. Every single one had been shut down by my cold indifference. I don't need it. I don't have time. Don't waste your effort. 10 years of disappointment had built a thick wall around my heart. It shut them out and trapped me inside as well. I stopped believing in promises, and I stopped holding on to any expectations. Because, without expectations, there could be no disappointment. But today, they had smashed into that wall in the most brutal way possible. The wall collapsed, and inside stood a version of me already covered in scars, yet still aching to be loved. I looked at them, at the pain written openly across their faces. What was I supposed to do? Laugh at them like a victor, mocking their stupidity and self-inflicted consequences? Or play the understanding daughter, throw myself into their arms, and complete this picture-perfect family reunion? My heart was in complete chaos. At some point, the guests had quietly slipped away. The vast banquet hall was now empty, leaving only our family and the planner and her daughter standing awkwardly to the side. I took a deep breath and let my gaze sweep across Mom, Dad, and Ethan. Finally, I spoke. The party was well done. The surprise was impressive. But I didn't like it at all. My words extinguished the fragile hope that had just begun to flicker in their eyes. Dad's lips moved, but in the end, all that came out was a heavy sigh. Mom's tears fell even harder. Ethan looked at me, helpless confusion filling his gaze. I did not react to any of them. I simply turned and walked, step by step, toward the white piano. The brand new keys reflected a soft glow under the lights. The initials engraved on the body, EC, were painfully clear. I reached out and gently touched the cool keys, but I had no desire to play. Do you know something? I said softly, as if speaking to them and to myself. When I was 10, what I wanted wasn't a teddy bear. I just wanted you to watch fireworks with me, even if it was only for 10 minutes. When I was 12, I didn't want a princess dress either. I just wanted to see your faces in the audience during the school performance. And on my 15th birthday, I didn't wish for a family photo. I wished that you would remember to call me. Just one call. Just to say happy birthday. But I waited until midnight, and my phone never rang once. 0:55. I stated these long-past facts calmly, without accusation. Mom covered her mouth, her sobs breaking through despite her effort to hold them back. Dad's back bent in on itself, as if he had aged 10 years in an instant. We thought. He struggled to speak. We thought material compensation could. It can't. I cut him off. It never could.
Mom, Dad.
You gave me life, and you gave me a comfortable upbringing. I'm grateful for that. But you also spent 10 years carving a hole in my heart with indifference and neglect. And now you're trying to fill that hole with a grand party and an expensive gift. I turned to face them. Don't you think it's too late? And far too presumptuous. A heart that's been hurt can't be soothed with a piece of candy. Trust that's been torn apart can't be rebuilt with a performance. I admitted it. When the video played, I had been moved. When the truth was revealed, I had been shaken. But after the shock and emotion passed, what followed was a deeper exhaustion and a deeper sadness. They had invested so much effort, mobilized so many people, and created such a massive misunderstanding, all for the sake of giving me a surprise. Yet they never once stopped to consider what that process felt like for me. For me, It had been a slow execution. They were still using the same self-righteous methods to express their love. 59. Just as they had used their self-righteous busyness to miss my childhood for the past 10 years. Emily, then what should we do? Mom asked through her tears. Tell us what to do. How can we earn your forgiveness? I looked at her and shook my head. I don't know. I'm tired. After those 3 words, I turned and walked away from this fairy tale built for me, one that only made me feel suffocated. I did not look back. I could feel 3 pairs of eyes pinned to my back like nails, but I never stopped walking. By the time I stepped out of the banquet hall, night had fully fallen. The cold wind hit my face, and only then did I realize I was already drenched in tears. I did not go home. I checked into a hotel instead. My phone vibrated wildly inside my bag. I did not look at it. I shut it off. I threw myself onto the soft bed, my mind replaying everything that had happened in the banquet hall over and over again. The extravagant party, the video that cut straight into my heart, and my own cold words. I didn't like it. A crushing sense of absurdity tangled with the dizzy feeling of being struck by love, leaving me unable to breathe. They had ignited my anger with deception, only to follow it with an even grander deception and call it love. How was I supposed to digest a love like that? I did not know. I only felt exhausted. I stared at the ceiling and did not sleep at all. The next morning, knocking woke me up. I thought it was hotel staff. When I opened the door, I saw Ethan instead. Dark circles hung under his eyes, and he was holding a bag of breakfast. Emily. His voice was hoarse. I stepped aside and let him in. He set the breakfast on the table and looked at me cautiously. Mom made this. Your favorite bread. I did not respond. I sat down on the sofa. The room fell into silence. After a long while, Ethan finally spoke. Mom and Dad didn't sleep all night. They really regret it. Regret what? I asked. Regret that their plan wasn't airtight enough? Or regret that I exposed them in public? Emily, don't do this. There was a plea in his voice. They really know they were wrong. They know they were wrong? I let out a short, bitter laugh. If I hadn't made a scene yesterday, if I had chosen to quietly endure it, would they know they were wrong? They would only think their plan was flawless. That their surprise was earth-shattering. Ethan had no answer. Emily, I know they handle this badly. He paused. But you can't deny that they love you. Love. I looked at him. Ethan, tell me, what is love? Is it treating me like a fortress that can only be conquered through schemes? Is it turning all my pain and resentment into dramatic buildup? If that's what love is, then I'd rather not have it. Ethan fell silent. He took a small USB drive out of his pocket and placed it in front of me. Dad asked me to give this to you. He said maybe after watching it, you'd understand some things. Then he stood up. Get some rest, Emily. I'll go now. At the door, he stopped and turned back. No matter what you think, to me, you'll always be my only sister. The door closed. I stared at the USB drive on the table for a long time. In the end, I picked up my laptop. There was only one folder on the drive. Its name was A Gift for Emily. I opened it. Inside were 10 subfolders, labeled from age 10 to age 19. My hands trembled as I clicked on age 10. Inside was a screenshot of a flight booking. Destination, Disneyland. Date, my birthday. There was also a video. It was my father facing the camera, practicing what he wanted to say to me. Emily, happy birthday. Dad's taking you to the place you've always wanted to go. His voice in the video was clumsy and nervous. The booking status at the bottom read, canceled. Reason, urgent business trip. I opened the age 12 folder. Inside was a design sketch of a princess dress. It was the same one I had once drawn in my notebook. Below it were emails exchanged with the designer, revisions made again and again. At the end was a photo of a warehouse. The dress sat boxed in a corner, covered in dust. The final email was from my mother to the designer. Sorry, the child says she doesn't want it anymore. Please cancel the order. In the video, Mom held her phone, her voice tired and helpless. Honey, Emily said she doesn't want it again. Are we really doing something wrong?
S.
I opened the folders one by one. Concert tickets. A studio appointment for a family portrait. The latest smartphone. The camera I had once casually mentioned. Every year, they had prepared something. Every year, those gifts were shelved, canceled, or forgotten in storage. Many of them because of my words. I don't need it. The last file on the USB drive was security footage from the night before. It showed the banquet hall after I left. Mom collapsed into Dad's arms, crying uncontrollably. He held her, patting her back again and again, repeating, "It's my fault. It's all my fault." Ethan punched the wall once, then crouched down, burying his head in his knees. The vast banquet hall was empty, except for the three of them and the mess left behind. Like the aftermath of a feast, abandoned and uncleaned. I stared at the screen as tears slipped down silently, dripping onto the keyboard. I stayed at the hotel for 3 days. In those 3 days, I thought about a lot of things. I remembered when I was little, Dad carrying me on his shoulders, taking me to see every corner of the city. I remembered how Mom would stay up all night by my bed whenever I got sick. I remembered Ethan, the little tag-along who used to trail behind me everywhere, calling me Emily in that sweet voice. When did we end up like this? It was me, shutting my heart little by little after repeated disappointments. And it was them, slowly giving up after being rejected again and again. We had all been hurting the people we loved most, each in our own way. That absurd birthday party had been like a scalpel, brutally cutting open a wound in our family that had been festering for years. It was bloody and painful, but for the first time, it also let the light in. On the afternoon of the third day, I checked out and went home. The house was quiet. SP. On the coffee table in the living room lay the notebook I used to doodle in, next to the photo of me at 10 years old, hugging a teddy bear. Mom came out of the kitchen. The moment she saw me, her eyes reddened. She was holding a bowl of freshly cut fruit, standing there awkwardly, not knowing what to do. "Emily, you're back." I nodded, took the fruit from her hands, and said, "I'm hungry. Is there food?" She froze for a second, then nodded hard.
Yes.
"Yes. I'll heat it up right now." As if she had been granted something precious, she turned and hurried back into the kitchen. Dad and Ethan came out of the study. When they saw me, they looked just as cautious. "Emily." I walked up to them and handed the USB drive to Dad. "Thank you for the gift," I said. Even if the delivery method was a bit special. Dad took the USB, his hand shaking. "Emily, I forgive you," I said. Not because of the party, and not because of the belated gifts, but because in that security footage, I had seen their pain and regret. And because I finally understood that love is not a multiple-choice question with a single right answer. It is more like a proof problem, one that takes a lifetime to keep proving, correcting, and relearning. SP. But, I added, looking at them seriously, I have conditions. First, from now on, our family is banned from all surprises, especially this kind. Second, if there's something to say it to my face. No guessing. No acting. And third, I paused, glancing at Mom busy in the kitchen, then back at Dad and Ethan. Every weekend is family day. No overtime. No social obligations. No disappearing. Dad and Ethan exchanged a look, then nodded so fast it was almost comical. No problem. Whatever you say. That night, our family finally had a proper meal together. There was no expensive wine. No delicacies. Just a few simple home-cooked dishes. Mom kept putting food on my plate. Dad told embarrassing stories from his younger days, making us laugh. Ethan sat beside me and, just like when we were kids, quietly picked the green peppers I hated out of my bowl. After dinner, the four of us squeezed onto the couch and watched an old, corny comedy. Dad and Ethan laughed so hard they nearly doubled over. Mom leaned against Dad's shoulder, a peaceful smile on her face. I leaned against Mom's other side, watching the flickering light on the TV screen, feeling a calm I had never known before. My phone buzzed. It was a new group chat invitation. The group name was A Truly Happy Family. There were 4 people in it. I tapped join. Dad sent a silly, smiling emoji. Mom sent a rose. Ethan typed, "Welcome home, Emily." I looked at the screen and smiled. I knew the hole that had been carved into my heart would not heal overnight, and the time we had lost could never be recovered. But at least from today on, we were all trying in our clumsy but sincere way to learn how to love and how to be loved. And that was Eno.
Ugh. The end.